Oh fuck. Welcome to the first episode of What Did I Miss with Dennis Styles. On this podcast, we're just talking about movie reviews, gaming news, comic book movie news, anime, and basically anything else I want to talk about. And I guess all the stuff that I missed talking about on my YouTube channel. This was kind of a rough intro. This is the first episode, still getting used to it, but rock with me. We'll get it together. This would be the second episode, but the episode I recorded last week, still getting used to my new mic and everything. Basically, I botched the audio, so, but the show must go on. This week, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about this week, from Marvel news to the writer strike being over and what that looks like with announcements and everything. Let's see what else. I should have had this part a little bit more together, I guess. We got some Cyberpunk news, some Elder Scrolls news, and what they're doing with that, if it's coming to PlayStation 5 or not. Some Modern Warfare stuff, new Star Wars game rumored by Respawn, which is interesting. Some Netflix streaming stuff with Disney Plus as well. And the main topics, some James Gunn stuff with his the DCU and stuff. The main topics are Loki Season 2, Episode 1 just released, so gonna give my thoughts on that and initial my thoughts, initial reaction. Gen V thoughts, because last week the first 3 episodes came out, and I did talk about them on the episode that I messed up on. So I just want to give my thoughts on that. And Ahsoka's wrapping up. I'll get to that when I get there. But I didn't finish it. I didn't really have time. But I still wanted to give my thoughts and everything on it. Where I'm at so far. Because I think it's important. Because it's not that bad. But yeah, that's what we're looking for this. That's what it's looking like for this episode. So there will be time codes to jump around to if you need to navigate spoilers or go to any specific bits of news. There was a couple stuff last week that I just wanted to go back over that I thought was important, or I guess important to me, what I wanted to talk about. But Marvel's meeting with now that the writer strike is over, to talk about the writer strike real quick. I wasn't too familiar on what I knew, like the AI stuff they were fighting for, but I didn't know exactly what benefits they were fighting for and stuff. But apparently they did get what they wanted and more, so that's great to hear. The actor strike is still going on, so I hope they get that resolved in like the same way, that they get more what they're asking that they get more than the minimum of what they're asking for. So hope that turns out better than they plan. And speaking of strikes, though, the gaming space is starting to go on strike. Not everything, and I think it's just the voice actors and the mocap actors. I've heard like stories over the years of voice actors getting treated pretty poorly and them not getting paid very well, considering I'm pretty sure the gaming industry is like one of the biggest earners entertainment and like in the entertainment space, like with movies, like books and everything. I'm pretty sure gaming's the top of that space. I could be wrong on that. I should double check, but honestly I don't care. But yeah, anyways, circling back to the mocap actors and the voice actors, basically there's enough money to go around to pay them properly. Just people in the higher up positions being a bunch of grubs. So hope they get that sorted out as well. And still on the topic of strikes, Disney's VFX artists unanimously, I'm going to get tongue twisted a lot. That just happens to me. So be prepared. Literally getting tongue twisted as I'm explaining, I get tongue twisted. But so be prepared for that. But unanimously, I cannot say this word. Unanimous. I promise I could speak. I promise. Unanimously. That's still not how you pronounce it. You know what I'm trying to say. For some reason, I just cannot pronounce this word right now. But they all voted. I'm gonna have to cut that part maybe. But they all voted to unionize, which is good, because I've definitely heard stories of VFFX artists and, all of them like insane crunch hours and deadlines and stuff like that. So I really, really hope, and they're like the main pillars on what sells these movies. Obviously, the writing, the actors, directing, all that plays a factor, but most of the time, if the effects aren't great and 100% solid, you're not really sold on what's happening on screen. So they're definitely a big factor on why stuff hits the way it does. So hopefully they get what they need as well. Just pay your people. Everyone plays a part in this, and everyone is helping create this stuff. So pay the people. I think that's pretty much it. I sounded weird right there. Hold on. Got to take a swig of water. That's pretty much it on the strike sides. But with that being resolved, the writers portion, not a whole lot of, but some stuff was able to come out that's been, the strike has rightfully so jammed up a lot of stuff and put a lot of production on hold. So, but with the writer strike being resolved, some stuff was able to come out. And one of those things is Marvel is starting to meet with writers to hear X-Men movie pitches, which is interesting because, how is the X-Men going to fit in the MCU and whatnot? And with Gen V coming out and how that has like a heavy X-Men vibe, Charles Xavier Mansion for gifted children. I don't know. I don't know what the tagline is. Just how is that gonna fit in? And with Gen V, getting that vibe, that X-Men vibe, how is that gonna maybe influence what we will see when the X-Men finally show up, or how will they be different from, something like Gen V? Obviously, it's Marvel, and the boys universe is a very big difference between the two. But, just how are they going to go about that? I really want to see the X-Men in the MCU. They would definitely, I would just want to see a shakeup. We get the Avengers, we get different teams, we get the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Defenders, Midnight Suns, maybe. So just different teams, different factions doing different stuff in the corners of the MCU. Oh, another thing with the VFX artists unionizing is that I don't think they could really get any. I'm not like sure how all this stuff works, so I kind of want to avoid talking about it because I don't know how everything works. But I wonder, since I'm pretty sure if they just unionize, maybe they can get what they want with Disney, or do all like VFX artists have to unionize and try to band together to get what they want? I'm not sure how it really works, but hopefully Disney's artists unionizing inspires others to unionize so they can get that sorted out across the board. But some more stuff that came out from the writers' strike. Superman Legacy should begin filming in spring if the actors come to a deal by then. Hopefully that gets sorted in favor of the actors. Another thing from last week, James Gunn said a lot about the DCU about the DCU on Instagram. He said a lot about the DCU in Instagram threads. And this is the last bit of news before we jump into the news for the new week. So this was interesting because I'm just really interested to get news on the DCU and what's happening with that. So the question, it was posed by a user. You said DC Studios movies and canon start with Superman Legacy, and I and many others are still confused. And so James Gunn clarified, nothing is canon until Creature Commandos next year, a sort of aperitif to the aperitif to the DCU. I had to search this word up last week when I was talking about this, but that's basically like a kind of like an appetizer before like the main course. So that's what Creature Commandos would be to the DCU. But yeah, so Creature Commandos next year, a sort of aperitif to the DCU, and then a deeper dive into the universe with Superman Legacy after that. It's a very human drive to want to know it's a very human drive to want to understand everything all the time, but I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening in the DCU since no one has seen anything from the DCU yet. This was really no surprise to me. I mean, this was pretty much said in his announcement when he announced all the projects back in what's it called? I don't know, was about that like back in January, like the beginning of the year. He kind of said this already, so this wasn't really any surprise to me, but it's good to get some, I guess, more confirmation on that because I mean, people are kind of stupid. And he goes on to say this under that reply. And yes, some actors will be playing characters they've played in other stories, and some plot points might be consistent with plot points from the dozens of films, shows, and animated projects that have come from DC in the past, but nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Legacy. So, some people were kind of confused on this statement as well. But I just don't get why, because he's basically saying they're just going to pull stuff from stories that they want to build upon. I mean, I feel like that's pretty straightforward, even if it's different actors or whatever. I don't know. We'll just see. I'm sure they're not just gonna jump into it just blindly and just, oh, you gotta go watch this fucking 6-season anime show and animated show to understand what's happening in this story. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a very nice natural introduction into whatever story they're pulling plot points from. So I'm not too worried about that. And he also confirmed that some actors that were coming back. So he confirmed the actors he confirmed that were coming back were John Cena as Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and I do not know how to pronounce his name. I've heard him pronounce it like once. Let me be a good I was gonna say like journalist, but I'm not fucking journalist, a podcaster. Let me see how he pronounced his name. Okay, so he pronounced that very fast, but he said Xolo Mariduena. Xolo Mariduena. But yes, he's coming back as Blue Beetle. He was the main actor that played Blue Beetle, and Freddie Stroma as Vigilante. I'm pretty sure there's more coming back, but these are the ones he said. But some people are like up in arms over Peacemaker getting a season 2 and being in the DCU, and it was one of James Gunn's projects that he worked on. It's being pulled over to the new canon, and people have like a problem with that for some reason. But I mean, who gives a shit? Like, Peacemaker was good. If you didn't like it, I mean, whatever, I guess. But the performances were good. The story was good, and I think it was pretty solid. So no fuss on my part about them coming back. And Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, I'm a Viola Davis stan, I guess. So Viola Davis is in it, I'm more privy to watch. So, and her as Amanda Waller is like kind of perfect casting. I mean, I don't know about a ton about her in the comics and stuff, but I think she plays the part really well. I loved her in both Suicide Squad movies. In the first Suicide Squad movie, she was probably like one of the only good parts about it. So no fuss on my part again. And then Freddie Stroma as Vigilante. I feel like he was great in Peacemaker. There were a couple moments that I feel like his comedy did kind of step on some of more of the emotional moments. But as a whole, he's a good character and he was pretty funny. So again, no fuss on my part about him coming back. So there's more stuff James Gunn said on Threads about the DCU. Let me see if any of it is worth talking about before we get into this the new news for this week. Oh, so with the writer strike being over, we can expect some more DCU news, I guess, in the not so distant future, according to James Gunn. He can't fully talk about everything until like everything's over, the actor strike and everything. So we might be getting some more news. Oh, here's a good reply that is I feel like is worth mentioning. So someone asked him, seriously though, why should we invest time and effort in yet another shared universe? Just build on all this. I'm sorry, this website ad is like blocking. I was having this problem last week when I was reading this. It's blocking like the text. Hold on, let me wiggle it so I could see this whole fucking comment. All right, let me start it over. Seriously though, why should we invest time and effort in yet another shared universe? Just build on what's already there with slight course corrections as needed. So he's talking about, the DCU's, the Snyderverse, just course correct. I think I think the Snyderverse is very broken that you can't even really do that. But James Gunn's reply to that, which I really liked, and I think shows a good what am I trying to say? A good look at what is possibly the future of the DCU. So his reply to that statement was, or question, if you think of anything as investing time and effort, no matter what shared universe, you definitely shouldn't be. Every story should be enjoyed and worth partaking in and of itself, without its attachment to an outside world. If it feels like homework, screw it. Shared universes should add fun to the individual stories, not the other way around. The individual stories and characters are much more important to me than the connections between them. So basically, he's basically saying there's more focus on the individual stories, which he said back in January or February, whenever his slate, the DCU slate released. He did say this. So again, none of what he's saying is like really new. It's just people just don't pay attention for some reason. But it's still good to get some more reassurance. But it seems like we'll be getting those individual stories that I feel like are kind of more like Creature Commandos, where there'll probably be references and stuff to the outside universe, but it's more its own story. Again, we've barely got anything on Creature Commandos, so I could be very wrong. It could be the most connected thing in the universe, but we'll have to see. But it's good to see that there's an emphasis on those, individual stories and not just the wider universe, which is important. It's so important, but there has to be a balance, man. There has to be a balance. And I feel like James Gunn has a good track record of doing that. Sorry. If we look at like all the Guardians movies, they're pretty self-contained, as in like obviously you don't have to watch any of the Marvel movies. Hold on, I know probably what you're thinking, Guardians 3 and Gamora, but hold on. You really don't have to watch a lot of the other Marvel movies to, get in Marvel and get into the Guardians movies. But you still get that MCU connection that if you are clued in on what's going on, you still get that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV moment, But you do get Gamora being killed right like in between movies, or in Infinity War affecting Guardian's story. And I'm pretty sure, and that wasn't James Gunn's decision to kill Gamora, so I'm pretty sure that affected the story he was telling. So that does throw a wrench in it in my statement. But again, that's not his fault. You can still digest the Guardians movies without the wider MCU movies. So I feel like we'll get that vibe with the new DCU. Obviously, there'll be connections, but they'll still work as standalone movies. I mean, I just like repeated basically what he said, but it's very reassuring coming from the person that's green lighting a lot of these projects and the overall narrative. All right. Now, wrapping up the old news from last week. That's not all the old news I had, but those were the important bits that I wanted to touch on. But starting off this week's new news, we'll switch to the gaming side. fuck, I didn't even put in my intro what I was talking about. All right, let's. I'm at the splice this in. Okay, back to I had to go do the intro really quick, but back to this week's news. Starting on the gaming side of things, as to no one's surprise, Elder Scrolls 6 won't be on PS5. With the release of Starfield not coming to PlayStation, I think that was pretty obvious. They bought Bethesda for a lot of money. Let me get the exact figure on that. Okay, so Microsoft bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion. So they would be very stupid to not make like Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and whatever new IPs Bethesda has exclusive on Xbox. Did anyone think that they were going to spend $7.5 billion and just keep them on freaking multi-platform? Like, no. They're driving exclusivity, which is kind of sucks because I really enjoy Elder Scrolls, Fallout. Really would have liked to play. I'll get around to Starfield. I'm going to have to get a PC eventually doing all this content stuff. So I'll be able to play Starfield eventually, and Elder Scrolls and all that. But as a PlayStation user, I missed out on Starfield, and I saw pretty high praise, but there's a lot of mixed reactions that I've seen. So, but I'm still interested. I like the Bethesda formula. It's not for everyone, or it's getting stale to some people, but I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it for the most part. So, hey, it kind of sucks that we're not getting Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation. I have quite a bit of Cyberpunk news, and so Cyberpunk is just got a new update, Cyberpunk 2.0, and then they got their first and last DLC, Phantom Liberty, that is being praised pretty high. And last week I was gonna give my initial reactions on 2.0. I haven't gone around to Phantom Liberty yet. I'm literally still in the first act. I played Cyberpunk. This will probably be more explained in my Cyberpunk Edge Runners video that I'm making. But yeah, I played Cyberpunk since launch. I was on PS4, the base model, so my PlayStation was struggling hardcore. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. But Cyberpunk, I guess saying that Cyberpunk has got a lot of life breathe into it, new life breathe into it. So it's popping off again. So Cyberpunk is getting a live action project partner with Anonymous, and so it was not really. Maybe I missed this part, but it wasn't really confirmed if it was like a movie or TV show. But I'm pretty sure it's a TV show, and Anonymous has done stuff like Mr. Robot, and they did another highly praised thing as well. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me look this up. Okay, yeah. So Anonymous Content, the media company behind shows like True Detective and Mr. Robot, and films like The Revenant and Spotlight. I have not seen True Detective and Mr. Robot, but I've only heard I've heard very good things about Mr. Robot. I'm not sure how it wrapped up or what's the praises like now, but initially when that show was first airing and stuff, I've heard really good praise. And same with True Detective. I heard that it kind of fell off in the second season. I'm not sure how many seasons are there, but still heard good things about it. And The Revenant, if this is the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, where he's like in the woods and he has to do some crazy shit, sleep in a bear or a horse or something. I really liked that one when it came out, if it's that one. And Spotlight, I have not seen or heard about. So, but basically, they got some pretty good projects under their belt. So, them handling it is, I guess, promising news. But so there's a live action show, and it's show or movie, but I'm pretty sure it's a show. And it's supposedly a new story in the Cyberpunk universe. And that was my initial question, was like, was it gonna be just was it just gonna be the like game story just retold again, or is it gonna be a new original story, something like Edge Runners, Cyberpunk Edge Runners? Because I think there's a lot of room to tell some great stories in the Cyberpunk universe. Again, I'll get more in that get to my Edge Runners video. Channel DS2 Smooth, DS numerical 2, SMOOVE. Shameless plug. I mean, it's my podcast, so who gives a shit if I plug my YouTube, I guess. But yeah. So that's interesting. I feel like there's a lot of good original stories to be told in the universe. So that's something I'm looking forward to. So it took CD Projekt Red, creators of Cyberpunk, $125 million to improve Cyberpunk after its release, but now it has sold 25 million copies, outpacing The Witcher 3. So The Witcher 3 is pretty high, a high praise game, with a lot of RPGs since they're like really long. I guess kind of speaks to my attention span, but like I'll play them really like hard for a good chunk to get a good way into the story. And this is for like Skyrim, The Witcher, even Cyberpunk. And I'll get a good way in, right? And I'll kind of get burnt out and not play for maybe like a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever it is. And I'll forget like where I am in the story and like what happened. And then I'll just start the game over. And I don't care about starting it over because I like playing it a lot and I like the mechanics or whatever the me liking the game. But I'll start it over and repeat the cycle, go super hard, and then get so far or whatever, and I'll just put it down and then feel like I gotta restart the story again. And so I've literally restarted The Witcher probably a good 5 or 6 times, and I got pretty far in like one of my playthroughs, and I'm pretty sure I was almost done with the game, but I just put it down and I was like, damn, I don't remember anything that happened. Restarted it, but so basically it's on pace to outsell The Witcher. So meaning it's reached 25 million copies sold in a shorter amount of time than it took The Witcher to sell this many copies. So I guess putting that 125 million to improve it is definitely helping it a lot. And when I was researching a lot of this, the Phantom Liberty DLC alone sold an additional 3 million copies. So I feel like as they start to do more things with the Cyberpunk universe, it's definitely going to drive more people to buy the game and stuff. And so definitely love to see it. I mean, the initial start of Cyberpunk was definitely a mess and was not consumer friendly at all. Like the way CD Projekt Red handled that was definitely not consumer friendly. And from my knowledge, I mean, I didn't have eyes on them as a developer until like The Witcher 3. That's when I kind of got into to really know who they were. And you know, before Cyberpunk, they were pretty well regarded as being a company to be consumer friendly. And since Cyberpunk, they got a lot of bad faith, rightfully so. I mean, they're very kind of deceitful in the way that they were handling Cyberpunk's release. But it's good to see that, you know, it seemed to be only a hiccup, and moving forward, they kind of know, you know, I'm not going to say they know not to do it again, because, I mean, hey, man, these are multi-million to billion-dollar companies, and you don't get there without being scummy. I'm not saying that they necessarily are, but you can't put anything past any of these companies and stuff. So, yeah, that was like a whole lot of nothing. But I have 2 more bits of Cyberpunk news before we move on. So for Cyberpunk 2, they don't know if they want to make it first person or third person. And when I was reading this article, they were saying that they don't think they made a mistake making it first person, and that they think it definitely gave Cyberpunk a lot of identity being first person compared to their other games. Is the Witcher series their only games? I'm not sure on that, but all 3 of the Witcher games are in third person, so it's very different from what they usually do. So they haven't really decided if Cyberpunk 2 will be third or first person, but they do recognize that Cyberpunk being first person gives it a lot of its own personality and stuff. So I personally would there's at times where I want Cyberpunk to be third person while I'm playing it, just to see my character's outfit and stuff. Um, but I do think for keeping it in first person definitely gives it a lot more visual flair, and it's a lot more immersive in first person. I think Cyberpunk as the world that it is definitely lends itself to being more immersive than something like The Witcher that is more pulled back and kind of what are the words? I don't want to say action because like Cyberpunk obviously has action, but it feels more video gamey and not really immersion, if that makes sense. But there's still definitely immersion in The Witcher. But yeah. So yeah, I would definitely like to still see Cyberpunk keeping that first person aesthetic. Even though there are times where and there's still ways to see your character's outfit in Cyberpunk. Obviously you got like the main menu, like select screen, you can see your character. But in the world, I mean, when you go third person on your motorcycle, you can see your outfit a little bit, and there's mirrors and stuff that you could access. So it's not like you never see your character and their fit. I mean, because me, I be putting that shit on in games. So I like to see me. I like to be looking fly as fuck while I'm murdering enemies and shit. So last bit of Cyberpunk news. I did not know this, but this came to me because a coworker at my job was trying to play Cyberpunk, the new update. But he had, what is the Xbox equivalent to the PS4? Was it the Xbox One? The Xbox One. And I guess they did not roll out the 2.0 update to Xbox One and PS4. Maybe his stuff was tweaking. So let me look this up to get a confirmation on this. So they didn't bring Cyberpunk 2.0 update to Xbox One and PS4, which again, I was just talking about consumer friendly shit is extremely shitty because I was one of those people who still enjoyed the game, but I was playing on base model PS4 and that game was running like shit. Terrible. And I'm pretty sure they did I'm 100% sure it doesn't run the same way, but 2.0 like literally changes the game. Like so many fundamental like mechanics are reworked and implemented and stuff, and new skill tree perks and whatnot. New might be new weapons and new vehicle stuff. Like you can, there's vehicle combat and stuff like that. Whole new police system and all that is not coming to the last gen consoles, which is shitty because I was fortunate enough to upgrade from a PS5 like shortly after Cyberpunk's release. But a lot of people aren't. And so them playing the game, like they're missing that was originally released on not original, like it wasn't exclusive, but it was released on PS4s and Xbox One. So shouldn't they be entitled to the new update? Literally transforming Cyberpunk as a new game. I just feel like that's kind of shitty. And if I had to start a PS4, I would be mad as fuck because I really liked Cyberpunk. And one of the big reasons I wasn't pressed to like finish it was because I knew that either they were gonna do a complete rehaul of what the system is and the mechanics and stuff like 2.0 did, or they're gonna like at least fix it. So I didn't really was still liking the game, but I didn't want to invest all those hours and finish a broken game when I knew I was gonna come back and replay it with all the like new updates or whatever. And so it's like I don't know, that's just really shitty to me. And that's honestly unfortunate because it got released on those consoles, so they should be entitled to the update that takes the game even, makes it the game that it was supposed to be on release, that they should have had. And that's just, that sucks. But enough Cyberpunk news. Here's some, there's a couple more gaming news things that I want to get into before we'll get to the movie and show side news and get into our reviews for the week. So there's 5 minutes of zombie gameplay for Modern Warfare 3 that dropped, and that shit was basically like a Warzone map with zombies running around. And I don't know, I come from a very stylized version of zombies. I'm acting like I'm some fucking old head. I'm literally only 23. But World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, zombies, you know, like round based Easter eggs, you know, very polished and uh, script is not what is not the word I want to say, but very polished, very scripted, very, you know, there was some style to it. Like even the maps that I really didn't like a whole lot. What was that? What was the Black Ops 3 starting map? It was like the old timey um dang. It was like it had like a tentacle monster and like a jar that you could throw that was like the monkey bombs or whatever. But it was like the first Black Ops 2 map. Even a map that I really don't like had just so much style and care put into it. And just setting zombies in an open field and you're just riding a vehicle, just, I don't, it just doesn't, it just looks so bland and boring and just took away a lot of what made zombies fun. And that's been the case for a while for zombies. Zombies hasn't been good since Black Ops 3, which was a while ago. I don't even know the exact how many years it's been, but I don't know. I was just I'm not saying that like, oh my god, I'm the biggest zombies fan ever, but I was very invested in the narratives that they were crafting. Like with like throughout the Black Ops zombie narrative, like I wouldn't do the Easter eggs myself, but I would look them up and stuff and see the cutscenes and whatever because the story was interesting. Like, goddamn, why am I forgetting the names? Like Rick Toffin and all of them, Dempsey, Nikolai, like they're all interesting. And zombies have really hasn't been like that since. And again, I'm not the biggest zombies fan ever, so maybe it's not the biggest deal. It's not the biggest deal to me, but it's still disappointing to see. And I'll check it out. I've definitely been seeing a lot of comments and stuff showing the middle ground, you know, and not just being overwhelmingly negative just because it's something that necessarily doesn't look appealing. And I mean, I just feel like it's valid to wait and see and try it out. So I'll try it out and everything, but it just doesn't look that great. Um, some Modern Warfare 3, I seen some more gameplay initially. So what's the deal? Because what they have kind of like alternate development with Call of Duty. So you have Treyarch, you have Activision, you have Sledgehammer, and you have Raven. I don't know if that's with Sledgehammer or not, but so 3 or 4 developers like switching off. That's how they can like do the yearly CODs or whatever. But it's so Sledgehammer's developing this one, but it's still Modern Warfare 3. Like I'm kind of confused on that because each developer each developer would have their own little, I guess, section of CODs they would do. So Treyarch and stuff had the Black Ops series, like World at War, Black Ops 1 through 3, Black Ops 4. What I'm kind of blanking on what else they did, and then Activision would have hold on, I'm trying to get this right. Is Activision with Infinity Ward? I don't know. Maybe Activision and Treyarch are together. But anyways, Activision or Infinity Ward would have the Modern Warfare games, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and then you get the Modern Warfare 2 of the newer ones, Call of Duty 2019 and stuff. And then you get Sledgehammer making Infinity War, Advanced Warfare, World at War 2. And who was Vanguard? I don't know who Vanguard was, but so yeah. And then so now you get Sledgehammer making Modern Warfare 3. I'm kind of like confused on that. So let me look that up. Who is making Modern Warfare 3? Sledgehammer Games. Okay. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is published by Activision. Development for the game is led by Sledgehammer Games in partnership with Infinity Ward. Development for Modern Warfare Zombies is led by Treyarch, working closely with Sledgehammer Games and Infinity Ward. So is this the first time it's happened? It seems like all the developers are kind of working together on this one title. I kind of fell off with COD. Hold on, let me all Call of Duties. So I kind of fell off with COD. It was a little shaky after. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at the timeline of things. So 2016 we got Modern Warfare 4 remastered. So Infinite Warfare is kind of where I started to shake a little bit. Like previous years before Infinite Warfare, I was copping COD every day on release day. Not every day, but every year on release day. So after Infinity War, Warfare, I was kind of shook on it because I didn't like Advanced Warfare, so all the jetpacks and stuff. But I did like Black Ops 3, which is weird. I think Black Ops 3 really handled the jetpacks well. But anyways, I was just really not a fan. So coming off of Infinite Warfare, you get World War II, which I did play a bunch. I guess I put a good amount of time in it, but not as much as like Black Ops 3 and shit. And then you have Black Ops 4. I barely touched this. So I was like literally, And then you get Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. So like rebooting the Modern Warfare titles. And I was on board with that 100%. That was around pandemic time. All my friends were on. We were on that tough. And like that brings Warzone, which I was on tough. And then you get Black Ops Cold War, skipped it. Vanguard, skipped it. I just was not feeling the vibes. Modern Warfare 2, skipped it. Live stuff, I didn't like have very good Wi-Fi at the time, and I was just lagging a bunch. So I was like, there's really no point in getting COD. And I play like all the COD campaigns. I'm really a single player guy, so I really enjoy the COD campaigns. I'm like, there's no point in paying $70 just to play the campaign. So I'll just wait till it's on sale. And so, yeah. So I mean, the Modern Warfare franchise definitely reinvigorated my interest in COD. So that being said, some more gameplay came out with Modern Warfare 3, and it was looking decent. And I was just a little confused on who was developing it because the movement did feel really sledgehammery. The accuracy, like of the recoil of the guns, did feel very sledgehammer guns. I feel like are very accurate. Like there's not a lot of recoil, which is cool. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me, but I'm a ball out regardless. But it was feeling very sledgehammer. So I'm interested to see what they do with Modern Warfare 3. The campaign seems to be with, what is his name? Makarov? No. Yeah. From Modern Warfare 2. Makarov. I think that's the villain of the new one. So we'll see, I guess. So I'm interested in that. I did not finish the Modern Warfare 2 campaign. I was playing on a veteran, and I was stuck on a mission. So, yeah, once I get past that, I'll tap in. But a couple more gaming news before we get into the movie side of things. So Sony Core is a new thing that Sony's doing. I've been at this for a while, so I'll try to kind of wrap this up. But so Sony Core is releasing, and it's, I guess, a new streaming. Let me pull up the article. Sony Pictures Core, formerly known as Bravia Core, launches on PS4 and PS5 and PS4 consoles. Exclusive benefits including early access to select Sony Pictures films. And so I'm not sure what Bravia Core was. So whatever that was, it's being rebranded as Sony Core. As I just said, there's going to be movies and stuff on it from Sony Productions, I guess. Sorry, I'm just like reading the article real quick. Not real quick. I read it yesterday, but just skimming it. So once you sign up for Sony Pictures Core on your PS4, PS5, you will be able to buy or rent up to 2,000 movies straight from your console. At launch, this will include blockbuster hits such as Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man No Way Home, Uncharted, The Equalizer, No Hard Feelings, Bullet Train, and Ghostbusters Afterlife, among others. So it kind of feels like a Amazon thing where you can buy and rent movies and whatnot. I guess Apple TV as well. I don't have Apple TV, so I can't. I'm pretty sure you could buy and rent movies on Apple TV. So there's like a couple things. I think there's like exclusive benefits and stuff. But what's interesting to me is Sony seems to have a lot of stuff to do with Amazon and their shows and stuff. Like I'm pretty sure when you boot up The Boys, it says like in like Sony's production comes up as a logo. I'm pretty sure, and they were supposed to in talks to do some Spider-Man shows with Amazon as well. So I'm just wondering, is this gonna affect that at all? Like, are they gonna try to shift to use Sony Core to produce original content or what? And will they try to develop those shows, those like Spider-Man shows and stuff on Sony Core? So that's why I brought this up, because that's interesting. But just to move it along, so there's a new Star Wars game there's a new rumor of a Star Wars game being developed by Respawn, and Respawn did the Jedi Fallen Order games, Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. I need to go and finish Survivor. I think I'm literally on the last boss, but he was just whooping my ass, and I put that game down and did not pick it up since. Hey, I was on the hardest difficulty, so cut me some slack. But yeah, I need to get back to that because I'm really invested in the story. It's just, just didn't pick it back up. Unfortunately. Hold on, let me go to the tweet. There wasn't any article linked to it or anything. It's by Daily Star Wars Games. Respawn are developing a Star Wars first-person shooter game led by Peter Hirschman. Peter has previously been directly involved in the development of Battlefront 2, 2005, and The Force Unleashed. What we know about the game: it is a story-driven single-player game inspired by Dark Forces and Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, developed from the ground up on Unreal Engine 5. And yeah, so he didn't link this Twitter account didn't link any articles to this, and I really didn't search it up. So I'm not sure how he knows all this, even if this is like anything concrete. So I guess that remains to be seen. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that on that. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I'd be down to see anything Star Wars related, especially a new game. I think the Battlefront games didn't have great starts, but they ended up turning Battlefront 2 around. Super big fan of the Jedi Survivor games, as I mentioned. Super big fan of the Lego Star Wars games growing up. Even checked out the Skywalker Saga Lego game, which I didn't think was that good, but hey, yes, I still fuck with Lego games. I'm 23 years old. Hey, bro, I just fuck with them, bro. And my little brothers like playing them too, so it's something good to have on my console when I'm around them and whatnot. Sorry, drinking my water. A bit of random news that I found super funny. Randy Orton, WWE star Randy Orton, paid someone $1,000 to level up his Elden Ring character. Now, this was just super random. I just wanted to include it. Fucking Randy Orton playing Elden Ring and paying someone $1,000. I think that's just hilarious. One, that Randy Orton, I mean, anyone could be a gamer, but it's funny that Randy Orton is a gamer and specifically playing Elden Ring. Yeah, he just basically in the article, he just said he didn't have time to just grind, and he said he was struggling with the early game stuff. So I get it. You just don't have time to grind and whatnot. So if you got the bucks, do what you got to do, I guess. So Assassin's Creed Mirage seems to be getting some decent reviews and solid praise, and has been hailed as a return to form to the older Assassin's Creed games. And I brought this up because I was a big Assassin's Creed fan growing up. Played literally all except probably expansions. Like there's some expansions for like Assassin's Creed 3. I was not too young, but I just didn't, when I was growing up, I just didn't get DLCs and stuff. So yeah, I missed out on those, but Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Unity, Syndicate. Big fan. Black Flag, big fan, big fan. And but the new Assassin's Creed installments, Odyssey, what was the first one of this like new RPG titles? There's Odyssey's the second one, and then there was the one with in Egypt. What was it called? Hold on. Shit. This is gonna bug me. Assassin's Creed Origins, is that what it's called? So you get Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla. And they were just the start of like it was just super RPG heavy, like gear and stuff. There's always been gear and armor sets in Assassin's Creed, but it was just a lot more like stats, like RPG stuff. I mean, if you're familiar with RPG stuff, then you know what I'm talking about. But it just never like enemies with health bars and just chipping away at their health and whatnot. It just did not feel like Assassin's Creed anymore to me. But let me say this. I mean, they were good games. I did enjoy playing them. I didn't finish. I only played Odyssey and Valhalla. And I didn't finish both of them. I got pretty far, again, the RPG thing. Like, I'll pick it up. I probably started Odyssey, like, once, like, 2 or 3 times over. Like, I'll pick it up and play for a bit. Play for a long bit. But I'm just so invested. I'm just so invested in the game. So I'm just doing a bunch of side stuff and not focusing on the main story. And so just not waste, but, spend a lot of time doing the side content. And I eventually just get burnt out, go play something else, or just drop the game for a bit, come back, don't know what the fuck's going on in the story, so I restart. And I did that with, like, Odyssey. And again, I'm saying that because I did play them, and I do think they're good games, but they just don't feel like good Assassin's Creed games. And this is not a new point. I've heard this point many times. But I just would like to get back to that. Just that simple counter system and, smooth part. I'm not going to say smooth, but, that old parkour and just the way that Assassin's Creed games were. And I just would like to get back to that. And I've been hearing Mirage is kind of going back to that. They said Valhalla was, but I didn't feel that in Valhalla. So this is what I've been hearing with Mirage, and maybe I'll check it out, maybe not. But I've been hearing good praise, so at least that's good. The last bit of gaming news, and this is kind of for me only. No one probably will know what this game is, but Deep Rock Galactic is getting a spinoff game called Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core. Sorry, I pronounced that really weird, but I was trying to really enunciate. So if you don't know what Deep Rock Galactic is, let me give a quick little summary. This article had a good one. Hold on. It's a game about space dwarves mining for resources while fighting off hostile aliens in the deepest reaches of space. Okay. So yeah, that's basically what it is, but hold on, I'm trying to like So it's a co-op first-person shooter, 1 to 4 players, set in a procedurally generated, fully destructible cave, with a team of dwarven reclaimers sent to retake control of lost deep mining operations on Hoax's IV-4, the deadliest planet in the galaxy. That also happens to be the richest resource deposit ever discovered. So to break it down, what I just said basically, you drop into a procedurally generated world or cave. Well, I'm truly trying to explain this. You drop down to like a world with so if you don't know what procedurally generated is, it's basically a different like cave and stuff each time. So you're never like replaying the same map ever. So it's a different like cave each time, and there's different classes. There's like a scout class, a gunner, a driller, and I'm forgetting the last class, but each of them do a different thing. Like the driller has like this big drill that will mine. Everyone could mine and stuff, but the driller like really mines really fast, and so you want to have that on your team to like get what you make a quick escape or get to your resources, the resource deposit quicker, whatever there is. And then the scout, he can go up ahead. Like if you come on an open area, he can illuminate. He has like this gun that shoots like lights and stuff, and so he can illuminate the cave, so you can see where you're going, see where the enemies are, whatnot. See, sometimes like it's not just mining resources. You'll have different missions. Like sometimes you'll have to create this. This sounds kind of boring, but you'll have to set down like piping and stuff, and so you can uh create like a fucking resource line or some shit. And while you're getting attacked by aliens and stuff, or like you are just like mining material, or you're harvesting alien eggs, and like each time you harvest the egg, like a swarm of aliens come, and like there's a bunch of different missions that you're doing. And so each class is like, so if you're doing like one of those harvest eggs and like you're finding swarms and swarms of aliens more so than usual, yeah, you want to have a gunner in your team that has the giant minigun and has the flamethrower or whatnot or whatever that could just really mow those guys down. Everyone can shoot, everyone can mine, everyone can do everything, but there's just specific classes that specialize in that and makes it a lot more easy. And so it's a really fun game, especially if you have people to play with. None of my friends really wanted to play, so I was sadly running by myself or just with randoms. But yeah, if you're looking for a solid multiplayer game, I would definitely check that out. But so they're releasing a spinoff game, a roguelite, and basically it's the same premise and stuff, but instead of like the classes. So if you don't know what roguelite is, I'm still kind of fairly new to these genre of games. Sifu, I think, was like my first introduction to a roguelike or roguelite. But basically, like you pay through a level, and if you die, you die. And they're typically like kind of harder games, and so that's where they're kind of a little niche. But so basically, you'll drop in context of Deep Rock Galactic. So you'll drop in and you'll have the same gear as like everyone else, and you basically go through, and by the end of like your run or whatever, you'll have good gear, you'll have good stats, you'll have some good upgrades or whatever. And in this instance, it'll, once you die and everything, it'll progress to the next level, I guess. And so you'll have some progression from your last run. I'm not exactly sure what carries over from progression wise, because a lot of this stuff is still early on. They haven't really released a whole lot of info. So we'll see. But Deep Rock Galactic, though, if you want a good multiplayer game, definitely check that out for sure. It's super fun, has a unique style to it. Talking about it makes me want to go hop on. But yeah, that's the end of the gaming news. We'll get into the movie news and stuff for this week before we get into our reviews and first impressions on Gen V and Loki. Let me see. So the possible What If titles for Marvel's animated What If season 2 got released. So some of them got released, not officially, but a while back, and I guess it's a new list. I mean, the last list really didn't. I mean, there's a couple good ones, but so this is a new list of the episodes, and this is not indicating their order. But again, we had a list before, and then we're getting this one, so this might not even be the official name. So this is like a scoop from Can We Get Some Toast? Yeah, I've seen a lot of hit my mic, my bad, hit my mic arm, but I've seen a lot of stuff from them, or a lot of people quote their scoops. Can't really speak on their success rate with scoops, but anyways, here's the episode. So the first one is what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? I mean, this one's this one's fine, I guess. Like, I guess a lot of these I'm like looking at that will, it's just like you're gonna have to see what they do with it, because the name itself is not really moving me or like making me like, oh damn, that's interesting. At least this first one. And so the next one is, what if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? Let me say that again, because fucking tongue twisted. What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes? Again, this is not really moving me. I mean, unlike the first one, Nebula joined the Nova Corps. I'm not really sure what that entails. But with this one, it's sounding like maybe Peter Quill getting to, what is his name? Ego. Maybe getting to Ego when he was supposed to, when he was a kid, and Yondu actually dropping him off. Or this might be a continuation of the the Black Panther story from the first season. I don't know which story it was, but it was a story that like I'm not sure if it was in the Black Panther one. That's why I'm kind of confused. But anyways, at the end of one of them, Peter Quill doesn't get picked up by Yondu, and I'm pretty sure it's the Black Panther one, because instead T'Challa gets picked up and Peter's seen like working at a Dairy Queen or something, and then Ego comes up and finds him. So it's not like so that could be a continuation of that, or Peter Quill as a kid getting picked up by Yondu and getting sent straight to Ego. So maybe he like comes back to Earth and attacks the Avengers or something. It's not really moving me, my boy. Sorry. What if the next one is, what if Kahori reshaped the world? And so I think this is the one with, if the Tesseract landed during the native times, like in America. And this is the first introduction, if this is the story, this is the first introduction of the MCU's first original hero, I'm pretty sure. I say that with a little like question mark on the end, because wasn't the Scarab lady from Moon Knight, wasn't that an original hero too? But yeah, I just heard that this would be MCU's first original hero, so I'm kind of confused on that. But yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting. What if the Tesseract like landed it back in the old native times and stuff? Again, not really moving me. It's whatever to me. But I mean, this one could be a little interesting. What if Hela found the 10 rings? It's interesting in the sense that like what? Like, okay, what if she found the 10 rings? Like, okay, like what is that? I'm interested to see what comes from that, but it's just, it doesn't really pull me in. It doesn't pull me. It doesn't really speak to me, you know? But the next one is, what if Iron Man crashed into the Grand Master? Again, I think this is just maybe at the end of Age of Ultron, when you see Hulk fly away, like maybe it's like kind of Iron Man's in that position for whatever reason, and he gets sent to Sakaar on the, I was gonna say Battle World, but I think that's something else. But their little fight arena or something. So yeah, what if he gets sent to that? Cool, I guess. Like, yeah, I'm not like really totally moved by a majority of these, but I guess that's interesting. The next one is less interesting. What if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? I'm like, all right, bro. Like, I feel like there's like so many like decent what ifs, and these are just all kind of whatever, brother. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Maybe it'll be the greatest thing I've ever watched. Maybe not, or maybe I don't know. Maybe. What if the next one is, what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper? So I'm pretty sure this is a continuation from last season, when you see Peggy Carter get the super soldier serum, and you see Steve Rogers getting the Hydra Stomper, essentially putting him in Bucky's role. And pretty sure in the same way like you see Steve fall off the train. I'm trying to remember, but basically he's gonna get Winter Soldiered, and so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I guess that's cool. I guess not really. Keep it a buck with you. Not really. Like, we're using these times to just retell stories in a different way. Like, I want to see like what if. Fuck. I'm trying to think of some weird shit. Like, I don't know. Just like, I don't know. I feel like you could just do a lot more interesting things than that. Next one is second to last one is what if the Avengers assembled in 1602? I'm not sure what time period that is in the MCU and like who's around. What? I'm sorry. Don't make fun of me. The history of the world is of America is kind of lost to me. I'm not gonna say I don't know anything. All right, let me just shut up and basically what was happening in America in 1602. Is that like the cowboy times or something? What was happening? Oh, maybe I was way off. Fuck, that makes me sound like a goddamn idiot. I did not start this podcast to be fucking looking up history. Pre-revolution timeline. Honestly, bro, I'm keeping it band with you. I don't care enough to look this up. We'll see. We'll have to see, I guess. Where? Okay. Oh, I was trying to find the What If episodes. All right, and so the last one, which is probably the most interesting one, or all right, what if Strange Supreme intervened? So we seen Strange Supreme in the last season, and he was pretty fucking cool. This was like the strongest version of Doctor Strange that we've seen, and so intervened with what necessarily? I'm probably blanking on something very obvious, something that happened in the last season, but intervened. Yeah, I just would like to see more of Strange Supreme. So again, like the title itself is not very interesting, but I guess the character is what makes it interesting to me. So again, these are kind of lackluster to me, and I don't even know if these are the official titles or whatnot, but do better. What if? And again, these could all be great, but they just don't pull any excitement out of me. So we'll have to see. The next bit of news is Netflix is raising its prices again. What's good, Netflix? Like, this is kind of a funny point. I'm breaking it up because I don't pay for my fucking Netflix. I use someone else's. I don't think I pay for any of my streaming services besides HBO Max. That's pretty much it. But I mean, like, but still, the people who do pay for them, it's kind of annoying. Like, I'm pretty sure this is like Netflix has raised all of the streaming services. Really, have raised their prices a lot recently, and it's just turning into cable again, which I don't think is necessarily a problem. But the whole thing with streaming services was that they're trying to replace cable at like a cheaper price point. But it seems like the streaming business model is not sustainable. You're not paying your royalties. You're not, you're cutting corners here and there. So it seems like the cable business model was there for a reason, because that is what is sustainable for the industry. And so I think we'll be seeing a big change in streaming and how they go about it as the strikes and stuff go on, and as things start to change. And because before, you had DVDs and stuff contributing to stuff like that, and DVDs have become kind of outdated and people aren't buying them as much and whatnot. And you got reruns coming on cable television. It's a bunch of different things that aren't a factor anymore contributing to the change. And I'm just like kind of chatting right now, but it's just it doesn't seem like streaming is very sustainable in the long run. It's like very early stages. Like it's been around seemingly for a while for some people, but in consideration of how long cable has been around and stuff like that, it's a baby. And so, we'll just see how this stuff develops. But I don't think streaming. Again, I'm probably not the right one to be speaking on this, but the streaming business model just doesn't seem sustainable, in my opinion, of what I know so far. Just hit my computer, but yeah, okay, but still on the streaming side of services side of things, Disney is cracking down on password sharing. And you could be temporarily banned or permanently banned if they catch you. If they catch your ass, they could ban you. So that's interesting because, I mean, hey, they're getting more serious about the password sharing, I guess. And that's just, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that. I brought that up just because it's related to the Netflix stuff. And I guess they do have it's their shit. They do have a right to do it, but how are they going to regulate that, though? Let me just read some of the article. Or skim it, because I did read it last night. So, unless otherwise permitted by your service tier, you may not share your subscription outside of your household. So, there seems to be different tiers, or will be different tiers to, like, password share. I could be wrong. But, hey, I'm not going to say who cares, but I mean, I feel like I had more to say about that, but I guess not. We're almost done. We're almost to the shit. Maybe I'll not add as much news and try to like comb it through and pick out I feel like this is all interesting, but this episode is going to be kind of long. And I was shooting for maybe like an hour 20 range. So, yeah, maybe I'll shoot for less news. But hey, it's the first episode. We're just going to rock out and we'll see. But on to some more news. Ahsoka season 2 it sounded weird. Ahsoka season 2 is being discussed but not greenlit yet. So I'll get to it, but I did not finish Ahsoka, unfortunately. I was trying to finish it before this podcast, but I just did not get there. I'll get to that later, but yeah, so I mean it's being discussed, so whatever happens, I know I didn't finish Ahsoka, but I mean all the big stuff I'm pretty spoiled on. I mean, and I don't say that in like a completely negative way. I kind of like actively sought out the spoilers because I wasn't watching it as a release. I'll get to why when I talk about it, but so I know the story beats and stuff, and so yeah, we'll see. I mean, yeah, I'll probably talk more about this when I get to Ahsoka stuff. I should have probably just grouped that into there, but hey. Oh, yeah, that's why I had it here, because I had some more Star Wars news. But Guillermo del Toro confirms that his canceled Star Wars movie was about the rise and fall of Jabba the Hutt. So I think last week or maybe the week before, he was like kind of teasing what his canceled Star Wars movie was about. And if you don't know who Guillermo del Toro is, he's a big advocate. I mean, he's not just this, but all right, let me just pull up his thing first. His what he's worked on. So he's a filmmaker and writer, and his stuff that he's worked on, my personal favorites are the Hellboy movies, so Hellboy 1 and then Hellboy 2 Golden Army, but he's done The Shape of Water, which I haven't seen but was pretty praised. Pan's Labyrinth. Haven't seen, but I've heard good things about it. Pacific Rim. I enjoyed the first one, did not watch the second one. Oh shit, I did not know. Wait, he did Blade 2? I didn't know that. Okay, but also I was looking on someone's filmography before and they had a movie that they didn't work on. So I don't know if he actually worked on Blade, but pretty cool if he did. But he did a lot of stuff. It says he did like a Hobbit movie, Splice. That was a weird movie, but I liked it. It says he has like Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3. Yeah, I don't know if he actually worked on these movies, but he's a really good filmmaker and he's a big advocate for animation, you know, trying to get animation to be taken seriously, like with like the critics and Oscars and stuff like that. He's a big advocate for that. But I like his work, in short, I guess. But yeah, so he was making a Jabba the Hutt movie about the rise and fall of his like criminal empire, which could have been really interesting. Like we could have got a lot of cool stuff with Boba Fett or something like that. And I brought this up because obviously, I just said it's interesting. But Star Wars has a lot of canceled movies from a lot of esteemed. Is that the right? Fuck it. I was gonna say is that the right word, but esteemed. This is gonna be this podcast. You're gonna learn some words with me. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's held in great respect. Yes, that's the right word. Esteemed. So Star Wars has had a lot of esteemed filmmakers come on and, you know, announce that they're making a movie and then just drop them. And usually that happens because, you know, the studios and the creative can't come to a decision about, you know, it's a creative a creative roadblock. Like they can't this is a very simple concept, but I'm like complicating it. But you know, the studios want this and the creator wants to do this and their visions just don't align. So that's how usually that falls through most of the time. And yeah, I mean, it just sucks that we can't get these like great filmmakers to work on Star Wars stuff because probably there's a lot of studio interference and like these top tier directors don't want to deal with that shit, so they just drop out. And not saying that directors who do work on this stuff aren't top tier directors or anything like that, but they're probably just more comfortable with changing their vision with the studio's vision of it, or if you know, yeah. So that sucks. I really would want to see a rise and fall of a rise and fall of Jabba the Hutt. I feel like could have been a lot of good, interesting things with like, you know, bounty hunters and mercenaries and, you know, more the underbelly of the crime world of the Star Wars universe that we often don't get to see a whole lot of. We get to see a lot of the Empire and the Rebellion and stuff like that. And besides, like, really the animated stuff, we don't get a whole lot of look at the criminal aspect of Star Wars. Maybe I've only seen Solo like once, but I know there is some crime stuff in there, so it's not like we haven't gotten it sprinkled in the live action stuff and whatnot. But I would like to see a lot more of that, though. Onto some DC news, real quick. Some DCU news, some more James Gunn's news. So as the writer strikes have coming to an end, like I said earlier, James Gunn resumes. Hit my mic arm again. James Gunn resumes writing on Peacemaker season 2. And he confirms that the continuity change will be addressed in season 2 of Peacemaker as well. Like I was saying earlier, I really enjoyed Peacemaker. I think it's one of the best comic book shows to date. Not the best, but it's definitely up there for sure, at least for me. I really like the writing and stuff. So yeah, that's cool. He's resuming to work on that, and I've seen a lot of people like theorize how Peacemaker is going to handle the continuity change, since he is one of the only characters that are coming over from the old DC universe. They keep saying like they'll do like a Psycho Pirate thing. I don't know who Psycho Pirate is, but apparently there was like some big universe changing stuff in the comics and stuff, and he was like one of the only characters who remembered what happened in the old universe, and he was just like, people just thought he was crazy and just like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He's talking about a Superman that's like evil or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, in that vein, so he was like one of the only characters who remembered the previous continuity in the previous canon. And so they're saying that Peacemaker might go do something in that route where he's just the only one in the DCU who remembers the Snyderverse, which I think would be pretty funny and a good way to handle him dealing with that universe change and still while still keeping the plot points from his show. Obviously, not the ones dealing with the Justice League and stuff, but there was a lot of more personal things with like his dad and stuff that they can definitely carry over to season 2 without it being feeling connected to the Snyderverse and stuff. So yeah, that's good to hear about that. And then also, still on James Gunn DCU news, he posted. He's very active on Threads. Maybe I got to get on there to see all this stuff. He used this Lois Lane comic cover as fuck. Let me say that again. He used this Lois Lane comic cover as treatment for Superman Legacy, and I before this I didn't know what treatment meant for like a movie, but I guess it is. This is from DCU updates. They put a nice little text explaining what film treatment is, a summary of it. So I'll explain what the treatment is. I'll explain what the I'll explain what the comic cover looks like. So a film treatment is a summary of a film or television show. It should communicate all of the essential scenes, themes, and tone of the project to entice or pitch to buyers and producers into reading, developing, or even purchasing your idea. Film treatments are also referred to as story treatments, script treatments, and movie treatments. And the cover is like basically Lois Lane, front and center of the Daily Planet, opening glass doors, and she has Superman, Jimmy Olsen, and Perry White is his name. Like basically they're J. Jonah Jameson of their universe. Pretty sure he's not as crazy, but yeah. But she's like front and center, and Superman and the other characters are in the back behind her and on the sides of her. So basically very Lois centric, it seems like, which I don't have a problem with. I think we definitely need to get a new perspective on the stories being told in the DCU to definitely make it feel new and refreshing compared to not just the MCU but any other superhero stuff. We're gonna need some new fresh takes on these stories to not make them feel just as the same. And a very something like My Adventures with Superman, again, like Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Superman, or Superman's still Clark Kent. He's still very much the main character of the show, but Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane are also main characters as well. And Jimmy Olsen in that show doesn't get as much like development as Lois Lane, but he's still very much a part of it and a part of their trio. So I'm definitely down for something more, focused on the side characters, and definitely still Superman obviously playing a big role in the story and being a very big focus of it, but it's not necessarily all about him. So I'm very open to this. I haven't read this comic. Again, shout out to my YouTube channel. I'm gearing up to do because I'm really just now getting into comics, like actually reading them. I would be very like surface level. If there was like a certain story that I found interesting, I would like look it up on YouTube and go to like outlets like Comic Story and fudge, what is the other fellow? Comics Explain, and there's one more. Starts with a V. But like they all explain like if there's certain big storylines, like the death of Wolverine or something like that, they'll cover it. And I'll tune into stuff like that. But now I'm like really starting to seek out stories and really like read whole arcs and stuff like that. And me rambling. Point being, I'm reading the Ultimate Marvel Universe for the first time, so I'm gearing up to make some videos about that and that my whole journey. And so, but basically, point being is I'm very excited to start getting into some DC stuff, probably when I finish the Ultimate Universe, because that's definitely on my mind, and I really want to read a lot of more DC stories. I read some stuff like Batman Long Halloween. I read that. That was one of the first stories I read. Some some Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, very surface level with DC right now. So excited to dive more into that. And I really like how James Gunn is highlighting some of these DC stories, and like as he talks about them, like they're selling out and stuff, and you just don't see Marvel doing that a whole lot. Like they don't really boost their stories that they're adapting and taking stuff from. And that's one thing I really like with the DCU so far, and how they're really highlighting the comic side of things. Because I mean, we wouldn't be getting any of these stories without the comics. So it's very important to really recognize them and uplift them. And since the comic book industry isn't as strong as it once was, and so it's definitely important to get as many new eyes and stuff on them as possible. So yeah, so I'm glad that he's including comics and stuff that he's using treatment for, and it makes me want to go check out this story and whatnot. So really, I'm really like to see stuff like that. So some Batman 2 news, so unrelated to the DCU, the Batman made by Matt Reeves and starring Robert Pattinson and stuff. So the rumored villain was Clayface, and now I'm getting stuff with Hush. If you don't know who Hush is, I'm not going to spoil who he is, but he's someone from Bruce's past, which would really go with the themes that the Batman 1 set up with like his whole family and everything, and how they're not as clean as he thinks they are and stuff. This Hush is a villain that would really lend himself to that the story they're telling. But again, I don't know. The only exposure I really have of Hush is the Arkham games, and he starts off as something like, oh shit, this could be a little something, but he just kind of fizzles out, and you kind of deal with him really quickly. So his story just doesn't live up to the anticipation it sets up. And I don't think I haven't written him off. Like after that, I just think, this fucking character's terrible. But he's just met to me. And there's probably a good story to tell with him, but I feel like it's the predictable story to tell. And hearing the rumors of Clayface and possibly Mr. Freeze being the villains definitely is more enticing to me. But it doesn't mean that they aren't in the movie, or it couldn't be side villains or something. I feel like you could do really something really suspenseful and stuff with if you have like Clayface and Hush team up, and it's not there's like multiple different versions of Clayface. Clayfaces I heard that they could possibly do, like you could do the big monster Clayface, or you could do like the guy that's his face is just kind of like more malleable. And he's not necessarily like a big clay monster. They could do something I think really well with either version of those, and playing with Hush being someone from Bruce's past and Clayface's shape shifting. I feel like there's something there to play with. But definitely Mr. Freeze or Clayface sound like a better villain to me. I really want to see how Mr. Freeze would fit into the world of the Batman world that they're building. But I guess Hush is cool. He fits the story very well, so that's what I would say. But I would like a more fantastical villain, which Matt Reeves has said in the past that he's kind of trying to shy away from, which is unfortunate because I feel like really the only Batman stuff we get in movies and stuff is a realistic take on Batman, and that's why I really like elements of Zack Snyder's Batman, because I feel like he was that fantastical Batman that could move at seemingly superhuman speed and whatnot, and fucking he can fight like the Arkham games, not as exaggerated obviously, but he has that movement to him and stuff. And I feel like we haven't really seen, again, I'm not like I haven't dove deep into DC comics, but I think I know enough. We haven't really seen a really comic accurate Batman, or even accurate to any of the animated stuff or that feeling. We've all just got, like I said, just realism stuff. So I would still like to see I hope DCU's Batman is more of that type of Batman that I'm looking for. And that's not to say that Nolan's Batman or Reeves' Batman is interesting or boring. I really like those universes and the universes they built. It's just, I would like to see a different type of Batman. Um, let's see. Yeah, so that's it on the DC news, and then two bits of Marvel news before we get into Loki and Gen V and Ahsoka. So Fantastic Four, there's a really hold on, let me just pull up the article. Fantastic Four director gives casting and filming update on the MCU. So director Matt Shackman. Let me actually pull up what he's done, because I'm not sure what Matty Man has done. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure how. Um, I'm pretty sure I've heard the creators of Always Sunny talk about Matt Shackman before. I could be wrong, but hey, I mean, it looks like he's done some good stuff. So, but yeah, so there was a he gave some updates, some casting and filming updates. Let me see. There's some interesting things. I should have listed them out more clearly, so I won't have to skim the article again or read. I read the article yesterday, but skim it now. Um. Oh, he's working on an Apple TV series, Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. It's Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell's son is playing him in the past, and Kurt Russell's playing their character in the present, and that's a very cool concept. But I love Godzilla, so that's definitely a show to look out for if you haven't seen any trailers or anything. Definitely look up the trailer and look more into that and keep an eye out for that, because I think that's going to be very good. But so he's came out and said that Fantastic Four is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. Here's exactly what he said. It's different in so many ways. I wish I could be goddamn. Let's start over. It's different in so many ways. I wish I could be specific. I wish I could say more, but but we are doing things very differently from a story standpoint, from an approach to the filmmaking standpoint that really fits the material. I wish I could say more. I would love to, but I can't. But I think it's going to be unlike anything you've seen before, and certainly unlike anything at Marvel that you've seen before. All right. I'm not saying that it will be untrue, but we've definitely had directors and stuff in the past say this and that not necessarily be the case, whether they're just chatting and talking out their ass or studio interference so they couldn't execute the vision that they wanted to execute, whatever the reason. So I wouldn't take this as like, oh my God, I would take this with a grain of salt. Well, it remains to be seen, but I mean, hey, it's his movie. He's confident in it, so that's good to see. Um, and in this article, he mentions as well that as being a fan of these characters since he was a kid, and I think that's very important. And again, this isn't a recipe for instant success, but if you're a fan of this stuff, you care about it a little bit more. Not saying that people that you have to be a fan of. I mean, I think that maybe you should be a fan of. Sorry, you should be a fan of the thing you're creating or adapting or whatever. It adds an extra layer of, I don't know, like, care, but not necessarily speaking. Just because you're not a fan doesn't mean you care about the thing you're working on, but it helps. And so him being a fan of the Fantastic Four or the Marvel Universe in general since he's been a kid, that's good news as well. Um, Again, that doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be good, but you could hope, if you are a fan of the Fantastic Four, which I am, cartoon and movie wise. Again, I'm still just now getting into comics, but I really love them as a concept and a team. So, um, yeah. So if you're a Fantastic Four fan, maybe he will pull imagery or say certain phrases, or that just adds that extra mile of that is more enjoyable for a fan, I guess. Another thing he said in this interview that was interesting was that he was talking about the VFX companies. God damn, I don't know why I couldn't say that. But he was talking about, how important it is to get their powers to look unique and look right on screen. And he said he's been despite the strikes, we've been working with the effects and with the production design and building our world. It's been incredibly exciting. How do you translate those skills into live action in dynamic ways? Because some things that work beautifully in John Byrne and Jack Kirby are a little tougher when you're filming them. And that's, I'm pretty sure they've written very highly praised Fantastic Four runs, which I'm excited to get to eventually. So, and I guess I brought that up because, you just got the VFX artists unionizing at Disney. So how is that going to look? Are we going to see a drop in fucking more, I should say more of a drop in CGI quality as we go forward in some of this Marvel stuff, or are they going to have to work around that and do some more creative things to either not necessarily hide their powers, but maybe use them in sparingly ways that when they do use them, it's important and it's big and it's not just, I don't know what I'm really trying to say, but is this going to affect them in the long run? So there's also been some rumors for the directing. I don't have them up, but there's been some oh, wow. Sorry, I was just like trying to think where to find those. Because, all right, I think it's the guy from Stranger Things in the most recent season who played Fudge. I forgot his name. But he was a new addition. Eddie, I think it was. And he was the guy that with the guitar and the Hellfire Club guy or whatever. He's been heavily rumored to be Johnny Storm, which I've seen a lot of people have a problem with, but I mean, I don't really care. I mean, it just remains to be seen for me. Like, I don't really get moved by casting choices unless I think they were like really good. Even if I think it's a miscast or something, it's still, for me, we'll see. Like, we'll see what they do in the role. Maybe it is justified. The hate is justified and he is a miscast, but hey, man, I think just give people a chance. And if it's bad, it's bad. But if it's good, it's good. So remains to be seen for me. So I'm not really fussed about that or anything. But some people were, and I forget, but there was also a heavy rumor for Sue Storm's actress. I mean, whatever, I'm not gonna get into that. But so yeah. I forget who it was, but those two are definitely rumored. And so the last bit of news before we get into Loki, season 2, episode 1, we have Ironheart being delayed until September 3rd, 2025. And it was originally supposed to come out fall 2023. So honestly, sometime around this time right now. It's currently October 8th. So, yeah, the article said, let me pull it up. It's from the Direct. So this, the production wrapped on this in November 2022. So it stopped filming back like literally almost 2 years ago. Not literally almost 2 years ago, but like a year and some change. So it says this has been on ice for just a minute, and I guess they just been really looking, and the strikes did not affect the release date for this movie. I think they just been really just trying to figure out where to slot this in the Marvel universe. And it says in the article that Armor Wars. This could be possible because Armor Wars got pushed back because it got changed from a show to a movie, and Armor Wars is set to official. It has yet to get official release date, but most are expecting it will occupy one of the untitled slots Marvel Studios has allocated for July 25th and November 27th, 2025. So they could be aiming to release Ironheart closer to Armor Wars because maybe they will connect story wise. So that could be possibly the case on what they're doing. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like the biggest Ironheart fan, but she was pretty good in I liked her enough in Black Panther 2. And again, haven't really spent a whole lot of time with her in the comics or really any comics at all. But a lot of people seem to like her, so hey, hope that gets resolved, I guess. I mean, I'm not really like damn fussed over Ironheart series. It's cool to see more black people on screen and everything, especially a black woman. But I mean, I'm not really too drawn to the Ironheart character, but I know a lot of people are, so hopefully they get this. We get to see Ironheart. I mean, I like Marvel content, see new Marvel content, and maybe this show will make me a bigger fan of her before I get to her in the comics. I mean, it's 2025, so maybe by then, most likely by then, I've probably read some stuff with her in there, so I'll probably be a bigger fan. But hope they get this resolved. I can see this definitely having a lot of fan praise, like Miss Marvel, like the Miss Marvel series got. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the news for this week. So we're gonna get into Loki season 2 episode 1 review, and then we got my thoughts on Ahsoka from the little I've watched. And then we got JV, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. I've been going for, how long has it been so far? I've been going for an hour 47. So yeah, let's get this ball rolling. So Loki season 1 or season 2 episode 1, it picks up right where season 1 left off, and Loki's in oh, let me just say this. Spoilers for I'll try not to spoil Loki season 1, but definitely spoilers for Loki season 2. I mean, it's fucking season 2 of a show. Like, why are you here if you haven't watched season 1? But hey, but I'll keep it spoiler free until then. So yeah, so it picks up exactly where Loki season 1 left off, and I really liked Loki season 1. I feel like it has probably the best Disney Plus show ending out of any show. I really like it probably has the best season 1 or ending out of any show. And the first episode's a banger. But yeah, I really like Loki season 1, and it's good to say that Loki season 2 is definitely, at least episode 1 for so far, is definitely keeping the same quality and vibe. And so I'm really liking season 2 a lot. And basically, so Loki season 2, we're dealing with Kang getting released into the timeline and all his variants, and Loki basically going around and trying to convince that the boogeyman is real. And you got Sylvie and whatnot. So we'll see how that plays out. But like I said, season 2, episode 1, great first start. I did not like it as episode 1 of the first season. I feel like that episode was super strong. But this episode definitely gets that is around the same quality as well. I just really like that first episode a lot. I'm really liking the cinema, or it was good in the first season. I guess you're gonna hear me say it was good in the first season, because it was good in the first season too. But I'm really loving the cinematography and just some of the framing of the shots in the show. It's very symmetrical, and some of the transitions are really great as well. So I'm just loving the whole aesthetic. I've always thought the TVA's aesthetic was really good too. I just love everything about I pretty much just love everything about Loki, from a production standpoint and the performances, brother. Oh my gosh. The performances of this show are so great from the main star Loki and Mobius, God, Owen Wilson, and the actress from B15. She's from what is she in? I want to say Lovecraft Country. I'm sorry, I'm asking someone right now, but B15's actress, the dark skinned lady, is she not from Lovecraft?
Yeah, she is.
She is from Lovecraft. What? All right, yeah. So she's from Lovecraft Country, and she's really good in that too. And Obi K Juan. Actually, I really want to pronounce his name right because I mean it's important to get any person's name right because that's their name, and you don't want to, you want to respect them. But yeah, hold on, let me search this up real quick. Try to pronounce his name. K Hui Kwan. I'm sorry, I had to get that right before I said his name. But yeah, K Hui Kwan as Obi. Oh my gosh, to me that's my favorite part of the show so far. He's just just the comedy and just nonchalantness that he brings to the story and just the subtleness. I think it's just his performance is so great. If you don't know who he is, he played Short Round in not Goonies. He played Short Round in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, and he played a character in Goonies. I know that's a classic, but I've seen it when I was growing up, but I don't remember any of the characters. But basically, he took a break from acting. I'll get more into this as well because there's a really good article with him that I'm gonna pull up or that talks about him. But basically, after Goonies and Indiana Jones, he quit acting. I'm trying to think of the reason. Because I don't think that he really thought that there was a place in Hollywood for like a lot of Asian actors. So he just stepped in more of a background role. He like worked on a lot of this, some stunt choreography for those original X-Men movies in the early 2000s. Basically, did a lot of background work, and he's still been in the industry, but after everything everywhere all at once, he really got boosted. Like that movie's great, but it got a lot of more eyes on him, and that made him come back to acting. And I'm so glad that he's getting a lot of more opportunities and stuff. And I'm so glad he's in the show because he's just so good. I love him a lot. Like I was saying, I just love all the performances. The cinematography is great. The score is great. The camera movement, love it a lot. And I love I kind of think this episode was kind of a little just like chasing its tail a little bit. I just feel like it was kind of just giving the runaround, and but I don't necessarily think that's bad or necessarily it worked for the episode, but it's definitely something I noticed. I'm trying to think. I actually got the show pulled up right here. Let me scroll through to see if there's anything else I want to mention. Anything else I want to mention before I get into like actual story stuff? I really like the I said it already, the aesthetic, but I really like the color grading of the show. I feel like it has a nice I'll say this with the boys as well, but just the way that it constantly looks and the colors the hue and stuff that is with the show. Just scrolling through to see if there's anything worth mentioning before I just jump into spoilers. Yeah, again, I really love the framing. Like everything is so symmetrical, and like again, I don't know a lot about filmmaking yet, because I am learning. But just the transitions, like oh man, I'm sorry, I'm just like scrolling through the episode, just looking. But I'm probably just about to jump into spoilers here. Yeah, so if you haven't seen Loki season 1. Definitely get into that to gear up for season 2 because and you're into comic book and movies stuff and whatnot. Definitely Loki is worth checking out, even if you aren't into this type of stuff necessarily, like superheroes and stuff. It's still a very well made show, and I think the performances are great. The story's pretty solid. But yeah, let's jump into spoilers. So Sylvie, she only appears in the end of this episode and the post credit scene, so we don't see a whole lot of her. But I'm glad the show was very just like catching up on what the fuck went down the first season. I love everything of how Loki's like time slipping looks and how Tom Hiddleston is able to like convey that like it hurts, like he has like these subtle like little neck twitches and stuff like after he does it, and I think that's really enjoyable to watch. So basically the main like problem for this episode was that the machine that creates the timeline is overloading because all of the branching timeline is trying to fuse multiple different branches together into one timeline. And so it's called the temporal loom. So my thing is since it's weaving a bunch of different timelines together, is this gonna open the door up to, you know, the new, because there's been heavy rumors that the Marvel universe is going to reset after Secret Wars and, you know, get some more main actors in and reset the universe probably so the X-Men could be in it, because the MCU has moved like really far along where the X-Men can't even really be introduced in a way that makes sense, because a lot of members of the X-Men like mythos and stuff like Magneto and whatnot and Wolverine, their origins are tied to real world events, like Magneto with the Holocaust, and um Wolverine with like he's fought in all world wars. And so it's like, how do you explain that, and mutants and missing and stuff? So you're gonna have to do like a reset or something, or they're gonna have to come from a different timeline where they already experienced that stuff and obviously just didn't experience it in the current MCU. So is the temporal loom weaving together multiple timelines opening the door to them coming in, or is that gonna be how the Fantastic Four comes in the story, something like that? Or is that how we're gonna get, you know, Miles Morales in it? Like, is it gonna weave uh his universe together with the current MCU, something like that? I can really see them opening their door to do things with the temporal loom. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, this was one of the only Marvel shows, and I think projects in general, to not have any reshoots. So it's oftentimes like, if for a movie, you got to add some more context, or you got to go back and redo a scene or whatever. It's not looking right in the edit. You go back and you reshoot the scene, and you know, sometimes there could be problems like the hairstyles don't match up exactly, or, you know, something like that. So it can be noticeable. There's Doctor Strange 2 reshoots that are fairly noticeable. Like Wong's hair is different, like lengths, not like something like super noticeable, like he has like a fucking ponytail in one shot and then a buzz cut in the next, but his hair is a little longer than how his hair usually is, and it's little stuff like that that you notice. But Loki was one of the only shows to not have reshoots, and which is interesting because, you know, you got all the stuff with Jonathan Majors, and, you know, it's like, did you want to? So it seems to be that the story that they wanted to tell, they told it and didn't need additional stuff. And so that doesn't necessarily speak to the quality, but I feel like that speaks to like the planning and the foresight that they had while making this show. So I think that indicates something good at the very least. What else? Because there's an article that I want to get into for um, with the executive producer Kevin Wright. He had a good Variety article. speaking about a lot of things. So I'm probably just about to jump into that. But yeah, super decent, super solid start to the season, and I'll be coming back once for all these shows. I'll be coming back once it all wraps up. I don't really feel like talking about it week to week. So yeah, I'll be back to it when everything wraps up. So expect that. But jumping into this article with the executive producer Kevin Wright. Yeah, so when I do this, when I jump into articles, I'm gonna start listing the specific parts I want to read, because when I pull up the article, obviously it's just the whole thing, and I just want to talk about certain parts. Let's talk about the K stuff first, and how he got his role for Obi, K Hoon Kwan. Fuck, I forgot how to pronounce it already. Let's run it back. K Hui Kwan. All right. Gotta keep that in mind because I really want to pronounce his name right. So, how early into this is the prompt for Kevin, right? How early into the writing of season 2 did you decide to cast K Hui Kwan as OB? So he says, we were in London, so I had at least some version of this of our scripts. The way the process works, they're always being rewritten, but Obi was in there, and his introduction scene was almost exactly as originally written. I would like to say it was early spring, which was maybe just 2 months before we started shooting. We were casting, and Everything Everywhere All at Once was playing in LA and in New York, but it hadn't gone nationwide yet. I think it was going. I think it was going the very next week. We had gotten a call from our casting director who said, "Hey, I'm about to put together a list for Obi, but just initial thoughts before I do that. I really think you guys should meet with K, and I think it should be K. I think you guys should meet with him quick because probably by Monday he's gonna have a lot of offers for different things." And so the way this is lined up for K is so beautiful because this is like destiny. Because what are the odds that they're about to put together the casting list for Obi, and Everywhere All at Once just happens to be playing, and the casting director sees this movie and is like, oh man, like there's something here with this guy, and he brings that to Kevin Wright, and that it just lines up so perfectly. So let me finish the article though, or this little section. So that Friday, myself, Justin, and Aaron, two of our directors, had gotten on a Zoom with K. We pitched him the show and this character. We shared that introduction scene with him and maybe the full script. And then we called the big guns. That Monday, Kevin Feige got on the phone with him and said, "K, I know you read the script. I know you talked to the guys. We really think you should do this. I really want you to join the Marvel family." And he had already made up his mind over the weekend. It was like, I'm there. I've been a huge fan of this for a long time. So I think it's just really cool that Kay was like already kind of a fan of the MCU. Like I mentioned before, he did work on some stunt stuff for the X-Men movies. So he's probably been a fan of like the Marvel stuff for a very long time. I just think that's kind of cool. But I'm glad he's in this show, and I love how it lined up. I love his like little repertoire with Obi and Mobius, and like how his name came to be, and them talking in the past and stuff with each other, and it going to the future. That little scene with that I felt was really fun. Let's see. And I love how by the books he was, but he was also sincere. Like during when he was when Obi was doing the countdown and Mobius was walking back towards the closing gates from the temporal loom or whatever, and Obi's counting down, and he's like, "You got like 5 seconds or whatever." He's like, 5, 4, 3, 3, 3. Like he obviously he's gonna close the door, but he's just like holding out for the last little moment of, because he just met these, or he's been known Mobius, but he just like met Loki, and it's just so sweet seeing like him trying to stretch that little time that they had for Loki to make a comeback, because that did end up if he would have closed it right away, Loki probably wouldn't have made it back. But so it's good. You get that little sincerity with the character, and I think Kay really pulls it off like just so well. And he's such a phenomenal actor. Like everyone in the show is, but I just love his performance, and I loved his performance and everything all at once. And this is it's funny. I just been talking about Kay the whole time about Loki. But one thing I did kind of have a problem with is the way he time slips. It's very convenient, and the when he does it, when Loki time slips, and he gets just the information he needs, and then he like time slips away, or it's just like he's explaining how the time slip like is working. He's like, oh yeah, I'm slipping through time to like Mobius or something. He's like, and he does it like right in front of him, and it's very obviously it's supposed to work with the story, but it's very coincidental to when he does it for the story, and it's not a huge problem, but it's definitely something I noticed. That's probably like my only problem with this episode, and probably is gonna be a continuous problem throughout the series as he does it. But again, it's not super huge. I feel like this episode is still super solid. What else did I find interesting? Oh, I find it interesting that they kind of like how they start with Jonathan Majors, like his face at the start. It's like they're really leaning into it. And what Kevin Wright had to say about that, he kind of just said like, oh, it's very early and we don't really know what's going on with that situation, which I agree with, but definitely always like believe victims and whatnot. But we're on the outside looking in, like we just don't know what is exactly happening with the case, so it's like remain to be seen. So it's just interesting now how they aren't shying away from Jonathan Majors in this show at all. Like they don't shy away with showing him and showing his face and whatnot. And so, hey, we'll see how that resolves itself. Always hope it's in favor of the victim. So, just don't know what's going on with that really. Also, I think the last thing I wanted to say, I'm just trying to think if there's any story stuff before I get into this last little bit for Loki. There is, I just like the way the way this story's going, how all the timeline people are looking for Sylvie and whatnot, and how there seems to be a more underlining thing, because the people, the counts or whatever, some of them seem to be, oh, we're like looking for Sylvie, but at the end, like they had basically all their weapons just to look for one person, and I think B-15 mentioned that. So there seems to be something a little fishy going on there. Maybe they're just gearing up to just start pruning timelines just willy-nilly and whatnot, and not exactly looking for Sylvie like they said. So that remains to be seen. But so Kevin Wright said that, it's at the end of the article. Do you think Loki, so the prompt was, do you think Loki would ever rejoin the larger world of the MCU? Kevin, so his response to that was, that's the hope. I don't want to. Yeah, I think the sun shining on Loki and Thor once again has always been the priority of the story we're telling. But for that meeting to be really fulfilling, we have to get Loki to a certain place emotionally, and I think that's been the goal for these 2 seasons. So I agree with this wholeheartedly. Fucking Loki in the first season, him telling like classic Loki, him explaining how him like getting sent to the planet. Fuck, let me explain this properly. After Thanos snapped his neck, the classic Loki, it was an illusion. So he didn't really get his neck snapped, and he just disguised himself as a piece of debris, and he was just floating in space, wondering what his purpose was, and he landed on a planet. And I guess he eventually came to the conclusion that basically everything is better without his interference and stuff. So he just stayed on that planet for a while. But and how he was captured by the TVA was he started to miss his brother. He started to miss Thor, and he was like, damn, I want to go see my brother. So he started to like think about leaving the planet, but the TVA was like, okay, you were supposed to die with the Thanos next snap, but you didn't necessarily die, but you were out the way and not interfering with the TVA's like story or plan or whatever. And so they let him live, but as soon as he thought about leaving the planet, they came and got his ass. And so, but he just me explaining that there was just a very sincere moment, and there's all and even stuff in Ragnarok, and there's always been sincere moments between Thor and Loki, and I feel like that will be a very great when they reunite. But again, you have to get like Kevin said, you have to get Loki to the right spot, because who Loki was at the end of Ragnarok and when he died in Infinity War, that's not where this Loki is. This Loki got pulled out of the 2012 Avengers situation. So this is evil Loki, straight maniacal fucking mischief Loki. Like, this isn't, oh, I've come around to really appreciate my brother and love my brother Loki. And so you have to get him to that point. And that's one of my biggest gripes with Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder, because they kind of just did not touch on that at all, where I feel like the season 1 of Loki was very sincere and very caring of the relationship with Loki and Thor. And Thor Love and Thunder just did not handle that well to me at all. Like, the most we get of Loki or Thor mentioning Loki is he has a back tattoo of like that says like Rip Loki, and I'm pretty sure Rip Hela too, like his sister. But the Thor Love and Thunder was just not sincere to that relationship and just did not handle it well to me. So I really hope that Loki, by the end of this series, and not just this season, but I don't know if this is the last season, but they could really pull that off and do it well. Because, yeah, Thor Love and Thunder, that will forever be a stain for on everything to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my Loki season 2, episode 1 thoughts. Like I said, I'll come back to this once we get to the end of the season. But yeah, I really liked it a lot. If you're on the fence about season 2 for whatever reason, don't know why you would be. Season 1 was amazing. Go watch that. Yeah. So now we're pulling up to Ahsoka. So I wanted to finish this by the time this podcast. By the time I was recording this podcast, but that just didn't come to be. I was just been editing and stuff like that, just life. And so I wasn't able to finish. I'm only on episode 2, but what I will say though, hold on, before I say that, I'm not going to spoil it here, but I just know all like the cameos and what happens, and by the end of the story, I know all that. So it's not like I don't know the story beats and whatnot, but I'm only episode like 2. And from what I've seen, just comparing this to, the reason why I wasn't watching the show like week to week, it's just the Disney Plus Star Wars shows just kind of burnt me out, bro. Like, no cap. It just, Mando season 3 just was not it, brother. Like, that shit was not it. And what came before that, like Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, they were just not up to snuff to me, and I just did not enjoy them pretty much at all. Like, there's definitely things to like in all those shows, Mando season 3 and Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, but just as a whole, like, they just were as good as they should have been. And then so I was just kind of burnt out. And obviously you have Andor, but that's just a different beast, bro. Like, that is some of the best Star Wars in like the recent years. And like, yeah, we got Mando season 1 and stuff, but that was good. But bro, Andor is just in a different caliber to me. And don't take that as saying as me, oh, there only should be like this serious ass tone in Star Wars and whatnot. But no, there's definitely needs to be a balance. But the care and detail and quality of Andor, writing wise, fucking set design wise, on location shooting wise, all that, like acting, and that care and attention needs to be applied to every single Disney Plus show. And seeing Andor just made me realize that's where that standard should be. It shouldn't be the same feel and same vibe, but the standard of quality should be across the board. And that's just not the case. So I was just like burnt out. And so by the time Ahsoka came around and we were getting set photos and whatnot, I was just like, it's just kind of like looking like that lackluster Star Wars feel that we've been getting from these shows. And I was like, I'm just on the fence about this. And as it was premiering, the first couple episodes weren't getting too highly praised. Like they weren't saying, "Oh, this is bad" or anything like that. But it was just like, this is whatever. And then like you get to like the later half of the season, like episode 4, and that's when I guess kind of speaks to the quality of the show. Like that's when the cameos start to come. But I feel like from what I've seen, it's very serviceable to the story. So I don't think cameos aren't like, oh my God, remember me? It is kind of that, but I think it serves the story from what I've seen. Obviously, again, I'm not there yet, but yeah. So Ahsoka just wasn't looking too great to me, but I'm glad I was proven wrong so far because the first 2 episodes, they do give that same feel as the previous shows that I mentioned that weren't great, like Obi-Wan and stuff, like lighting wise and like set wise. But I think Ahsoka it captures that campy Star Wars feel, that corny campy Star Wars feel, and it does it like that prequel vibe, but it does it like well in a way that those other shows didn't. And there's still that corniness and stuff, but I feel like it's the classic corny Star Wars. And from the clips I've seen, it's definitely like more emotional moments and stuff you get with Ahsoka and He Who Shall Not Be Named for spoiler reasons. But so I think there's definitely that emotional feel, and I think it captures that not cool, but that corny campy Star Wars feel really well. So I'm only 2 episodes in, but that's basically my thoughts on Ahsoka so far. And I'm pretty sure they're not gonna change too drastically by the time I get to the end of the season. But I'll talk about the end of the season next week once I'm able to like watch that and stuff. Because I was looking at what stuff to watch, and there's really not anything coming out movie wise or show wise next week. I'm gonna check again, but I really didn't see anything that's worth. I mean, there's probably stuff worth talking about, but that I'm necessarily interested in. But on to not Ahsoka, Gen V. So again, with my last episode, I did record my like initial thoughts on the first 3 episodes, and so since I didn't you weren't able to hear that. What's it called? Last week, I'll just talk about the first 4 episodes, and again come back once the season wraps up and everything. But man, Gen V is insanely good. Like it's up there with The Boys for me, and that's surprising because when I watched this trailer, I thought I was gonna get like, sorry, I was looking at the recording and make sure everything was straight, but I thought I was gonna get like, a bunch of college kids just at school, just being like, just seeing more of The Boys fucked up universe and people doing fucked up shit just as college kids and just turned up to 11. That's what I thought we were getting, but it's actually a lot deeper than that. And I would say even like deeper, I think, because the themes for The Boys I think are very political, but the themes for Gen V are very the word I want to use is human, but it's very more what word am it's very more social, I guess. And so like it deals with themes of like self-harm, suicide, eating disorders, like what'd you say? Like social problems and stuff like that, like dealing with transgender stuff. And I think that obviously I'm not an expert on any of that stuff, but I think the way it's going about it is definitely, and I'm going to bring up an article later, and they like consulted with people who are experts on that type of stuff and like how to go about it in the story. But it's just a lot deeper than I thought it would be. I do have some problems with the main narrative a little bit, but I'll get to that. But just the characters as well, I feel like they're a lot more human than The Boys characters. This could be also just like recency bias, but the way that they're just written is just so human. Like the way that they come to conclusions about things, like they'll do the wrong thing and then they'll come around on it. And obviously, like, that's not like anything new, but just the way they write it just feels very human. And like, okay, like you really get why they weren't on board at first, and you get why they eventually came around to it. And the character I think that does this the best in the show is the main character, Marie Monroe, played by, let me pull this up because she's actually really good in the show. Jazz Sinclair. I just feel like her character is superhuman, and you just expect everyone in the world, in the boys' world, to be just this scumbag to some degree. And these characters do scumbag things, but it kind of feels like it's just because they're younger and they're kids and they just don't necessarily know how to like navigate the world yet and whatnot. And there are definitely the scumbag characters for sure. Don't get me wrong, but it's a nice, refreshing take to see like them not as corrupt yet. And it'll be interesting to see if we do see any of the characters get to that corruption point of like, you know, only care about money and whatnot, and not really about the superhero side of it, and just, you know, trying to make a name for themselves and stuff like that. And another character I really liked was Emma. She's like the Ant-Man character of the show, played by Lizzie Broadway. I think her performance is like next to Jazz Sinclair's Marie Monroe is definitely up there as like my second favorite character. Just the way she plays her and her the struggles she deals with, and her performance portraying those struggles, I think is just really good and hard hitting. And she just has like this funny humor to her, and she plays off of one of the other characters in the story really well, and I just like their back and forth banter and whatnot. But just every character in this just plays a really nuanced individual, and I really like that a lot. And I feel like that was kind of not missing from the boys, but there was a clear right or wrong like line there. And yeah, maybe some of the like quote unquote good characters did blur that line a little bit, but there was a clear definitive like right or wrong. And I feel like that's a little bit more nuanced in Gen V, which is surprising. I just wasn't expecting to like this story as much and be as invested in this story. And I'm just enjoying the ride. I just love like Loki being good, Gen V being good. I wish I was watching Ahsoka and stuff as it was airing, but just having some good television to watch, and obviously there is good television going on all the time. You just gotta find it and find what you're looking into. But this being, I guess I should specify, good superhero television. So it's definitely just getting, I think Gen V and Loki come out on the same day, or Gen V might be Friday and Loki's Thursday. But it's just having something to look forward to week is just a good feeling. And let me see. Yeah, so let me just get into this article with Eric Kripke and the executive producer Eric Kripke and showrunner Michelle Fazekas. I wanted to read this article because do I want to read this article? Hold on. I think there was something interesting in this. Again, I need to like probably plan this out a little bit more so I can specifically just go right to the article, the part of the article I want to talk about. But hold on, let me skim this. I guess I pulled the article up, but I mentioned it earlier, was how I was saying like they were just dealing with those serious themes and how they consulted with actual professionals in those fields to, you know, navigate that filming wise. And then also they built a 5-foot giant penis for one of the scenes. That was funny to me. And he was just saying like how they don't try to rely on CGI stuff and how they like to do, like, use props and everything. And I thought that was interesting and worth mentioning, because a lot of this stuff is super CGI heavy and not necessarily. I mean, if you're paying your people properly and it looks good, there's not anything wrong with that. But you know, if you're not, then what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, I didn't really get into any like spoilers for Gen V. I feel like I got my point across without spoiling anything. But I'm just really actually I will jump into spoilers just for a quick bit, and there'll be time codes and stuff. I forgot to mention this up top. Oh, so the spoiler thing I want to say with Gen V, spoilers for Gen V. Spoilers for Gen V. All right. Why the fuck is the woods under the school? Couldn't they like build this facility anywhere else in the world, but they decided to build it right under the school where fucking superhumans that they can't control can just break out and run amok on campus and escape? Like, I just think it's a very dumb, like, unless I just missed the reason why it had to be under the school. Like, why? I just don't get it. That's like the only gripe I really have with the show. There's probably something else, but that's like the only like head scratching thing. Like, what the fuck? Like, why? That just doesn't make sense. But it just seems like for drama purposes and for the story's sake, which is weird. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the review side of things. I just want to get into my weekly watch list. I didn't really watch anything this week though. I just was trying to catch up on those Ahsoka, and I only watched 2 episodes, but I just been editing a lot and just life stuff. So I do want to get finish up Ahsoka so I could talk about it next week, and just to finish it in general. Because I do want to see those characters though, those cameos. And fuck, all right, whatever. I'm not gonna get into that right now. Probably talk about it next week. But also I want to get more into Castlevania Nocturne. It's already been announced. Season 2 has already been announced, which is great. I'm really was really a big fan of what the 2 or 3 seasons that they had of regular Castlevania. But my problem with those is they just set the bar so high with Dracula, and so when he wasn't in the show, it was like I kind of like checked out a little bit. And Alucard was kind of saving that show for me. And when he wasn't really in it, I wasn't really as invested. So, but since Dracula or Alucard, I've only seen the first. I'm like halfway through the first episode, but there was a really cool like black vampire. He turned into like giant snake thing. He was so cool. He was like so dippy and just so smooth like and everything, and just so well collected. He just was I see some other like black characters that had really cool designs as well. And it was a really good show when I was watching it. And like I said, I was a really big fan of Castlevania. But so yeah, I want to get into that. And also I was reading Moon Knight, his most recent run. I think I'm on the last issue, so I want to finish that up so I could talk a bit about that next week. I'm watching Saw X later. I went to watch it before this podcast so I could talk about it a little bit, but you know, I'm recording this in the middle of the day, and who the fuck goes to see a scary movie in the middle of the day? So yeah, I'm watching that a little bit tomorrow night. And there was this my friend last night. He told me about this. Let me get my phone real quick. He told me about this really cool vampire show. Anime, I should say. Hold on, let me see. Fuck, where did I write it? Fuck. It was like Vampire Hunter, like I gotta text him and see what it was, but it looked really cool. He said it was kind of like Hellsing. If you've seen Hellsing, then he was saying it was kind of like that, and so I really liked Hellsing. He was the one that put me on to Hellsing, so I'm gonna take his recommendation seriously and actually check it out. But once I'll say the name next week. I'll probably watch it. He said it's a movie, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll probably have watched it by next week, so I'll talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to leave off though with some closing remarks for the week. I want to add a little substance to this podcast, not just strictly talk about entertainment stuff. But yeah, as I'm setting up for the week and, you know, trying to start the week off strong, I think it was very important to me to focus on managing my time. Just to get, you know, I work a full-time job. I still want to edit and do my YouTube stuff pretty seriously. Still got to make time for my loved ones and the people in my life and stuff. And so managing time is very important for me going into this new week, and making sure I get everything done and try to keep on my YouTube release schedule, which I haven't really been on top of, and managing my time will definitely help me with that. So hopefully Um, you know, me talking about managing my time will make you think about managing yours a little bit better if you are having problems with that. Some people are just naturally good at managing their time and stuff like that, but some people struggle. Everyone got their own journey. But yeah, that's my little tidbit to ponder your orb for the week. I was pondering my orb. Now you can have something to think about and ponder your orb. But yeah, that's it. Pretty much it for this episode. Next week, like I said, I don't think earlier there's really not anything releasing gaming or movie or show wise. So I'm probably gonna talk about Ahsoka, and is most likely will be a Cyberpunk episode. I'm gonna try to get into more Cyberpunk 2.0 and try to get into Phantom Liberty. So it might be a Cyberpunk topic next week. Haven't really decided. Might be Cyberpunk Ahsoka and whatever news is for that week. But yeah, and then the week after that, it's gonna be my Spider-Man 2 first impressions. And so I'm so excited for that game. They actually released a little something I forgot to talk about, but I'm trying to wrap this up, so I'll probably mention it next week, maybe not, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And expect Cyberpunk episode next week and a Spider-Man episode for the week after that. But shoot, that's pretty much it. Catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.